In December 2018, a remarkable event unfolded in the skies above one of the most secure and well-known locations on Earth, the Pentagon. According to numerous eyewitness accounts, a large pyramid-shaped object was seen hovering above the Pentagon during the night, seemingly defying gravity and the usual understanding of aerial technology. This mysterious object was reportedly caught on camera from various angles by multiple witnesses, and the footage soon found its way to social media platforms, where it quickly went viral. The event was discussed widely, with many speculating about the origin and purpose of the UFO. However, in the years since the sighting, especially by 2024, much of the footage and photographic evidence has become increasingly difficult to find, leading some to suggest that the majority of this evidence has been quietly deleted from the internet, raising suspicions about a potential cover-up. The pyramid-shaped UFO spotted above the Pentagon in 2018 immediately stood out due to both its unusual shape and its location. The object was described as being massive in size, stationary, and hovering directly above the Pentagon, a symbol of US military power. Multiple reports stated that the object was either emitting a faint glow or reflecting light from the surrounding city. The event took place at night, making the illumination of the object even more conspicuous against the dark sky. What made this particular UFO sighting stand out even more was the number of angles from which the object was reportedly filmed. Various witnesses across different parts of Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia captured images and videos of the object from their phones, providing multiple perspectives of the event. These videos circulated widely on social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The pyramid shape of the UFO led to a flurry of speculation online, with theories ranging from experimental military technology to extraterrestrial visitors. For a brief time, the Pentagon UFO became a viral sensation, attracting the attention of not only UFO enthusiasts, but also mainstream media. Some news outlets covered the sighting, though coverage was generally cautious, focusing more on the strange nature of the event, rather than offering any definitive explanation. Initial attempts by skeptics to debunk the footage were met with difficulty, as the object did not conform to conventional explanations like weather balloons, drones, or aircraft. Despite the initial excitement surrounding the pyramid-shaped UFO sighting, by 2024, finding the original videos and images has become an increasingly difficult task. Searches for footage on popular video-sharing platforms and social media yield few results, and many of the original posts appear to have been taken down. Even on discussion forums like Reddit and UFO-specific websites, references to the event are often accompanied by broken links or claims that videos have been removed. This slow disappearance of evidence has sparked speculation that the footage may have been deliberately suppressed or deleted. While it is not uncommon for some content to be removed from the internet for various reasons, such as copyright issues or inactivity, the near-total erasure of evidence related to such a significant sighting has raised eyebrows. Many UFO enthusiasts have pointed to this as a potential cover-up, suggesting that authorities may have acted to suppress the evidence due to the sensitive location of the sighting, or because the object represented advanced technology that needed to remain classified. The idea that much of the footage has been erased from the internet adds a layer of intrigue to the event. In today's hyper-connected world, it is exceedingly rare for something as public as a UFO sighting, especially one witnessed and filmed by multiple people, to effectively disappear. The difficulty in locating footage of the pyramid-shaped UFO has given rise to theories that government agencies or private contractors may have intervened to remove the content. With the footage of the event now scarce, speculation has intensified about what really happened over the Pentagon in December 2018. One popular theory is that the object was an advanced piece of military technology, possibly part of a secretive program to develop new types of aircraft or defense systems. The Pentagon has long been associated with clandestine research and development projects, and some believe that the pyramid-shaped UFO was a prototype of a new craft that had not yet been disclosed to the public. According to this theory, the sudden removal of the footage is part of an effort to maintain secrecy surrounding this technology. Another theory, more favored by UFO enthusiasts, is that the object was not of earthly origin, but rather an extraterrestrial craft. The pyramid shape, which is less common in UFO sightings than the traditional saucer or triangular shapes, has led some to suggest that the object may represent a type of advanced technology that has not been widely encountered before. Advocates of this theory point to the location of the sighting, the Pentagon, as potentially significant. If advanced visitors were interested in observing human military power or conducting reconnaissance, the Pentagon would be a logical place for such an observation. Others have suggested that the object might have been part of a joint human extraterrestrial project. This theory, often dismissed as too speculative, posits that secret collaborations between government agencies and alien visitors could be taking place, and that the pyramid-shaped object was one manifestation of this cooperation. According to this line of thinking, the removal of footage would be necessary to prevent the public from becoming aware of such activities. The difficulty in finding images and footage of the 2018 Pentagon UFO has led many to question whether a deliberate effort has been made to erase this event from public memory. While some point to technical reasons for the disappearance, such as social media platforms automatically deleting old posts or users voluntarily removing content, others see a more deliberate hand at work. The fact that footage of a large pyramid-shaped object hovering above one of the most secure buildings in the world is now nearly impossible to find only deepens the sense that something is being hidden. The mystery of the sunken city of Cuba. A group of explorers started a survey and exploration expedition along Cuba's western coast a little more than 10 years ago. While on their journey, they came across a bewildering collection of rock formations almost 650 meters below the surface of the ocean, thanks to their sophisticated sonar technology. These formations, with their symmetrical stone arrangement evoking an ordered metropolitan growth, were prominent among the otherwise desolate ocean floor. The media was immediately drawn to the find, leading to headlines such as "Lost City of the Caribbean Found" and "Atlantis Discovered in Cuba." The government, National Geography, and the National Museum all promised to look into these fascinating sonar photographs in great detail as a result of the findings' significance. The public's focus ultimately went away from the finding, though, and the story eventually lost its prominence despite the initial fervor around it. A decade later, the astounding discovery is still mainly unexplored and has not been the subject of much follow-up research. There is still much to learn about the destiny of these mysterious undersea constructions and their possible historical importance. In 2001, Pauline Zalitsky and her husband, Paul Weinsweig, who owned the Canadian company Advanced Digital Communications and were both well-regarded marine engineers, made an interesting discovery. The pair was working for the Cuban government in the Pinar del Rio province of Cuba, close to the Guanahatabibes Peninsula, actively participating in a survey trip. This specific project was the result of a partnership between Advanced Digital Communications and 3 other companies that were all run by the government of President Fidel Castro, and had the goal of investigating the large number of Spanish colonial-era ships that were loaded with valuables in Cuban seas. Using state-of-the-art sonar equipment, the team carefully scanned a vast 2-square-kilometer area on the ocean floor throughout their voyage. As they were doing these scans, they noticed something amazing right away. What appeared to be a very complex collection of stone buildings with geometric and symmetrical designs that looked nothing less than an advanced urban civilization. The team was left in amazement by this fascinating finding, which stoked their intense desire to understand the mysteries contained within these mysterious structures. The group set out to investigate the depths of this sunken metropolis with unrelenting dedication and painstaking attention to detail, discovering a wealth of information and historical significance that would completely change our perception of the area. Zalitsky came upon an amazing discovery after closely scrutinizing the sonar images. He saw that there were amazing formations with smooth blocks, imposing crests, and complex geometric forms. There was interest and mystery to these structures. Some of the bricks were surprisingly shaped like pyramids, carefully and purposefully put together. They went back there in July of 21,000, this time with senior researcher Manuel Iturralde, a geologist at the Natural History Museum of Cuba. This time, they had a remotely operated vehicle with them, so they could thoroughly examine and record the fascinating constructions. The video that was recorded revealed the existence of large pieces of stone that looked like polished granite and measured about 8 feet by 10 feet. There were 2 different configurations of these blocks. Some were purposefully piled on top of each other, and some stood apart from the others. Zalitsky speculatively surmised that these photos might depict the ruins of a submerged metropolis. He did not, however, come to any firm conclusions, stressing the necessity for further data to back up such assertions. This painstaking investigation, made possible by cutting-edge technology, gave rise to a thorough knowledge of the undersea formations, as well as intriguing new information on the possible presence of a subterranean civilization. The estimated time it would have taken for the submerged structures in question to sink to the depth at which they were found was 50,000 years. Iturralde, a field expert, has suggested that these findings rule out the possibility that any known culture at the time was capable of creating such intricate buildings. According to an expert in underwater archaeology at Florida State University, this theory is reinforced by the fact that it would be highly unusual if these buildings were constructed in that specific era because they are more advanced than anything that is usually found in the New World. Consequently, it may be said that these constructions appear to be unusual in terms of their location and chronological order. Following the remarkable discovery, there was a media frenzy that led to several news sites drawing parallels between the find and the lost metropolis of Atlantis, but the men leading the investigation, Zalitsky and Weinsweig, were reluctant to approve of these parallels. Zalitsky flatly rejected the theory, claiming that the discovered ruins were probably more proof of a native culture that once flourished on a 100-mile land bridge that connected Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. Iturralde strengthened this viewpoint by emphasizing the existence of indigenous Maya and Yucateco stories about an island their ancestors had called home that had suddenly disappeared into the ocean. Even with these explanations, Iturralde did not rule out the idea that the fascinating rock formations might simply be the result of remarkable natural processes. Even though a lot of media sources have written about underwater cities, lost civilizations, the story of Atlantis, and underwater ruins, some people are still doubtful of this viewpoint. These skeptics doubt the veracity of such statements and are reluctant to accept the notion of submerged civilizations. There are questions regarding whether information concerning the discovery was purposefully withheld due to the narrative's rapid rejection. We don't know if the leads just died on their own accord or if someone deliberately tried to hide what we found. Sadly, the explanation for this is still a mystery, leaving us without the chance to fully understand it. The Varginha Incident. On the afternoon of January 20th, 1996, shortly after 3:30 in the afternoon, 3 girls were strolling together in Santana, located in the northern part of Varginha. Sisters Liliane and Valkyria da Silva, aged 16 and 14 respectively, along with 22-year-old Katia Xavier, arrived at an unoccupied and barren area of land, encountering a most extraordinary scene. A peculiar demon-like entity was positioned against the wall of a deserted cinder block structure. The creature's skin had a leathery brown hue, and it appeared to possess a triangular-shaped head with prominent red eyes. Its limbs were disproportionately short for its torso, with an estimated height of 2.5 feet. As the group stayed in place, unable to avert their gaze from the peculiar creature, they observed that it seemed as terrified as they undoubtedly were. Subsequently, they would recount how it seemed to hunch lower against the building's wall, seemingly attempting to evade their scrutiny. After a brief interval, the 3 girls pivoted and sprinted back to the main thoroughfare. They would go at full speed till they arrived at the residence of the teenage sisters. The situation would require around 20 minutes to attain a state of calm for the account to be comprehended. Katia, along with the sisters' mother, would then coordinate with a neighbor to revisit the location where they observed the peculiar creature. Upon their return, the thing was absent. An indentation was present on the grass where it had been situated earlier. A pronounced and pungent odor of ammonia was present. This is an aroma observed in the specifics of some close contact reports, and while they did not observe the monster, another individual had. An old widow and her granddaughter heard the screams of 3 little girls upon first noticing the peculiar figure. Although the females had departed by the time the 2 witnesses arrived, The grandma and small girl remained and observed the happenings covertly. They would assert that a vehicle from the municipal fire department arrived. The firefighters would promptly apprehend the beast before departing as though nothing had occurred. The incident will soon attract the attention of media and UFO investigators. Ubirajara Franco Rodriguez, in particular, would conduct a more in-depth investigation. His notes express his conviction in the honesty of the three females, and additionally, he would seek further supporting witnesses. Notably, a bricklayer named Henrique José de Souza asserted that he observed a fire department vehicle at the site of the purported sighting, despite the fact that his observation occurred prior to the time the three girls encountered the monster. A particularly compelling testimony would emerge in the form of local resident Aurelina Augusta. She asserted that she was awakened just after 1 a.m. on the 20th of January by the sound of bellowing animals from a nearby farm several miles distant. Upon approaching her window, she observed the cattle stampeding in distress. She understood the rationale. A submarine-shaped, luminescent thing hovered over them. She promptly roused her husband, and they both peered out of their window, seeing the grey smoke rising from the craft's side. It abruptly commenced movement, exhibiting a jerky stop-and-start action. It became evident to both that the vessel was impaired in some manner. In Brazil, the fire service is governed by the military police. This, in itself, renders the assertions of the fire department apprehending the creature potentially more convincing. Records from the Varginha City Fire Department reveal a call around 8:30 in the morning on January 20th. The call details indicate that an unusual creature was traversing the woods on the city's periphery, in proximity to the location of the subsequent apprehension that afternoon. Upon the fire service's arrival at the scene, documents indicate that 3 small boys informed them of having witnessed the thing. The direction they asserted it was headed would, theoretically, lead to the site of the 3 young girls' sighting. Additionally, 2 other occupants, an unidentified man and woman, would corroborate the boys' account. The mum recalled that the boys were hurling stones at the thing. She instructed them to cease, and they complied. It subsequently vanished into the forest. A small search unit would be dispatched by the fire department into the woodland, but other than the occasional glimpse of movement, no definite sightings occurred. 2 hours later, as noted by Rodriguez, they succeeded in cornering the beast. They successfully captured it, observing its complete lack of resistance, maybe indicating an injury. Later that day, 3 creatures were captured, including the one that the 3 girls had seen. A severe storm would ensue shortly thereafter, suspending the search for several hours. By 6 in the evening, the search units would re-enter the woodland. It was reported that 2 officers, who were described as plain-clothed operatives, would track down and apprehend a 4th monster. Devoid of the equipment utilized by the search teams, the 2 agents compelled the monster into the rear of their vehicle. Local expert studies indicate that the agents transported the monster to a small local clinic. Nevertheless, the physician would deny them entry to the premises and would withhold treatment. He recommended that they transport it to the hospital in the city. One of the undercover officers, reportedly identified as Marco Cherez, had physically restrained the creature with his own hands during its capture. Shortly thereafter, he fell gravely unwell and was admitted to the hospital due to the loss of function in all of his limbs. He would decline swiftly, with little reaction to any interventions. Ultimately, he would perish on February 15th. Nevertheless, the subsequent events are very unsettling, to put it mildly. The hospital provided no clarification regarding the officer's demise. They ordered that his coffin be sealed and that the funeral occur within hours. The family intends to litigate against the Brazilian military for Cherez's demise. Nonetheless, the sole new information they uncovered was a minimal presence of dangerous substances in his system, and potentially more incriminating, a conspicuous modification of official documents indicating that Cherez was off duty on the night in question. Rodriguez's investigations revealed that an entire wing of the city's hospital was restricted in the aftermath of the tragedy. Additionally, the military will convene a conference with all hospital personnel. They would notify them that the events of the past few days constituted a training exercise for medical and military professionals. More concerning, they were directed to refute all inquiries if questioned. There were 3 sizable military vehicles outside the hospital in the afternoon on January 22nd, The reports indicate that the creature remained alive at this juncture. The military would secure it in hermetically sealed, advanced technology canisters prepared for transit. Subsequent inquiries by local researchers revealed that at approximately 4 in the morning on January 23rd, a convoy of military vehicles, commanded by a yellow Volkswagen van, departed from the city of Varginha. Their destination is unspecified. Certain assertions indicate that Sr. Fortunato Baden Palhares would conduct the autopsy of the alleged extraterrestrial beings. He consistently refuted this. According to a student who inquired about the supposed autopsy in the late 1990s, he expressed a desire to provide an explanation, but requested that the subject be posed in 10 to 15 years. Dr. Palhares may have been overly enthusiastic regarding the disclosure he appears to anticipate. Subsequent inquiries would disclose the presence of at least one US agent in Varginha from January 20th to 23rd. The North American Aerospace Defense Command had alerted Brazilian authorities on 13th of January 1996, indicating that it had detected several strange objects over the Western Hemisphere that night. One or more had intruded into Brazilian airspace. The possibility of one or more unidentified objects crashing to the Earth in Brazil that evening, potentially near Varginha, is a subject of debate. Nonetheless, a report of such an instance exists. Carlos de Souza was operating a vehicle on the Fernão Dias Highway in the early hours of the 13th of January. He was fewer than 5 miles from Varginha when he abruptly heard a muted roaring noise emanating from above. Upon directing his gaze upward, he observed a cigar-shaped silver vehicle moving at an approximate speed of 50 miles per hour. He discerned 4 windows down the side of the UFO, which he estimated to be approximately 40 feet in length. Additionally, he observed a jagged split or break at the front of the item. Dense white smoke spewed into the atmosphere from this mechanical injury. The craft quickly surpassed Souza, and for 10 minutes he trailed the silver object. Subsequently, it vanished into a descent beyond the tree canopy. From Souza's perspective, there was no doubt it had descended someplace in the forest. He persisted in operating his truck towards the location he presumed the object descended. After several minutes, evidence of his conviction emerged. He halted his truck, unwilling to approach any nearer. In the field before him, he observed the dispersed silver remnants of the cigar-shaped vessel that had traversed the sky mere minutes prior. He was surprised by the appearance of approximately 40 troops engaged in collecting the rubble and loading it onto military vehicles. He observed a fragment of silver substance situated not far ahead of his position. He approached it and retrieved it. As he proceeded, one of the soldiers commanded him to depart without delay. He complied, but asserts that when he paused for coffee several miles later, 2 military personnel in civilian attire approached him. They recognized his identity and explicitly instructed him not to disclose what he had witnessed. Although there is no definitive evidence supporting Souza's narrative, it aligns with the seemingly disclosed knowledge regarding the North American Aerospace Defense Command, details that Souza could not have known at that time. It is certain that the case likely involves more complexity than a mere fake. Moreover, it possibly disseminates disinformation to obscure the facts regarding the events of late January 1996 in Varginha, Brazil. Mysterious object seen above the moon. In the ever-expanding universe of UFO sightings, few events capture the imagination like those that occur near the moon. Our closest celestial neighbor has long been a subject of fascination for humanity, and any sighting of an unidentified flying object in its proximity invites a flurry of speculation, awe, and sometimes fear. One such instance involves a cigar-shaped UFO that was reportedly photographed flying above the moon's surface. This sighting, distinguished by the unusual shape and location of the object, has sparked debates about the nature of the craft, its origin, and what it could signify about extraterrestrial life or even undisclosed human space operations. While the authenticity of such sightings is always debated, the cigar-shaped UFO near the moon remains one of the more mysterious and intriguing episodes in modern UFO lore. The moon has long been the focus of scientific exploration and curiosity, from the early telescopic observations of Galileo to the modern era of space exploration. As the only celestial body visited by humans, the moon has been the subject of countless missions, including NASA's famous Apollo landings. Yet, despite, or perhaps because of, our extensive study of the moon, it has also become a hotbed for UFO sightings and mysterious phenomena. Reports of strange lights, structures, and flying objects on or near the moon date back decades, with some sightings even predating the space age. Amateur astronomers and professional scientists alike have occasionally observed unexplained events, including flashing lights or unusual formations on the lunar surface. These phenomena have led some to speculate that the moon may be home to secret bases, alien activity, or remnants of past civilizations. The cigar-shaped UFO spotted flying above the moon's surface adds another chapter to this long-standing mystery, fueling speculation about what might truly be happening on our lunar neighbor. The sighting of the cigar-shaped UFO occurred during a period of heightened interest in space and UFO phenomena. The object, reportedly captured in several photographs, appears as a long, cylindrical shape flying just above the moon's surface. In contrast to the typical round or saucer-like UFOs often reported in sightings on Earth, this object resembled a giant, elongated craft, giving rise to its description as cigar-shaped. Eyewitnesses, who claim to have photographed the object through telescopes or with cameras equipped with high-zoom lenses, were startled by the clarity and distinctness of the object's shape. Unlike the small specks or indistinct blurs that characterize many UFO sightings, this object had a clear and defined form. It appeared to be moving slowly across the moon's surface, at an altitude that suggested it was flying deliberately and not simply debris or a natural occurrence. What struck observers most was the object's stark contrast against the moon's barren landscape. Its smooth, elongated body stood out sharply against the grey surface of the moon, casting what appeared to be a faint shadow in some of the images. The UFO seemed to lack any visible wings, propulsion systems, or external features commonly associated with spacecraft, adding to the mystery of its origin and function. Its sleek, tubular design resembled some of the hypothetical spacecraft described in science fiction, though its purpose and destination remained unclear. The sighting of the cigar-shaped UFO has sparked considerable debate regarding its origin and purpose. One of the most popular explanations is that the object may be of extraterrestrial origin. The unusual shape and apparent flight capabilities of the object have led some to speculate that it could be an alien spacecraft, part of a larger fleet that may be observing the moon or even conducting activities on its surface. Supporters of the extraterrestrial hypothesis point to the moon's strategic location. As Earth's closest celestial neighbor, the moon offers a prime vantage point for observing our planet without detection. Some theorists suggest that if extraterrestrial civilizations are interested in Earth, they might establish a base on or near the moon to monitor human activities. In this scenario, the cigar-shaped UFO could be part of a larger system of surveillance or reconnaissance missions conducted by advanced alien species. Another possible explanation is that the cigar-shaped UFO is part of a secret human space mission. Given the long-standing rivalry between superpowers like the United States, Russia, and now China in space exploration, it is not beyond the realm of possibility that classified operations are being conducted on or around the moon. These operations could involve experimental spacecraft or technologies that have not yet been made public. In particular, the cylindrical shape of the UFO might indicate an experimental propulsion system or a craft designed for long-term space travel. The object's smooth exterior and lack of obvious flight mechanisms could suggest the use of advanced propulsion technologies, such as ion drives or nuclear-powered engines, which are being researched by various space agencies. In this context, the UFO might not be extraterrestrial at all, but a secret project developed by a government or private space organization, designed to test new methods of space travel or lunar exploration. Despite the intrigue surrounding the cigar-shaped UFO, verifying its authenticity and origin remains difficult. Much like other UFO sightings, the photographic evidence is often subject to scrutiny, with skeptics arguing that the images could be misinterpreted or even manipulated. In the case of objects observed near the moon, atmospheric distortions, reflections, and other visual anomalies can sometimes cause images to appear deceptive. In some instances, small objects like space debris or satellites passing in front of the moon may be mistaken for UFOs. Additionally, the scarcity of verifiable data poses a challenge. While multiple observers claim to have photographed the cigar-shaped UFO, these sightings are difficult to replicate, and the absence of official statements from space agencies like NASA adds to the ambiguity. Although lunar anomalies and unexplained phenomena are frequently reported by amateur astronomers, mainstream scientific institutions tend to approach such claims with skepticism, often citing more mundane explanations like natural lunar formations or artifacts from human-made space debris. Whether the cigar-shaped UFO above the moon is extraterrestrial, human-made, or an optical illusion, the sighting has profound implications. If the object is indeed alien in origin, it would represent a monumental discovery, suggesting that intelligent life is not only aware of Earth, but actively monitoring or visiting the moon. Such a revelation would have far-reaching consequences for humanity's understanding of its place in the universe, potentially ushering in a new era of interstellar diplomacy and cooperation. On the other hand, if the UFO is part of a secret human mission, it underscores the complexity and secrecy that surround space exploration in the 21st century. Governments and private entities may be conducting space operations that remain hidden from public view, advancing technologies that could shape the future of human space travel in unprecedented ways. Mysterious object seen hovering above the moon during an old space mission. One of the most captivating and contentious UFO sightings in history allegedly occurred during one of the early space missions, when a large, black cylinder-shaped object was seen hovering above the moon. This sighting, reported by both astronauts and ground-based observers, has been the subject of intense debate for decades. What makes this event even more intriguing is the fact that the image of the cylindrical object has reportedly been scrubbed from many websites and online sources, leading to speculation about a possible cover-up. Though the veracity of the sighting remains hotly contested, the story of the black cylinder-shaped UFO continues to inspire wonder and suspicion. The sighting of the black cylinder UFO above the moon occurred during the early days of space exploration, a period filled with both technological triumphs and intense geopolitical tensions. In the 1960s and early 1970s, the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union was in full swing. NASA's Apollo missions were a major part of this era, with the primary goal of landing humans on the moon and returning them safely to Earth. These missions, however, also generated reports of unexplained phenomena, including UFO sightings by astronauts and mission control personnel. One such sighting stands out from the others: the appearance of a large black cylinder-shaped object hovering near the moon during one of these early missions. The object was said to be enormous, dwarfing the lunar landscape and casting a shadow that indicated it was located in close proximity to the moon's surface. It appeared to hover motionlessly in space, defying the laws of physics as understood at the time. The sighting, reportedly captured on film and witnessed by several individuals, quickly became the subject of speculation. The black cylinder-shaped UFO was unlike any other object typically associated with space missions. While spacecraft, satellites, and natural space debris all come in various shapes and sizes, the sheer scale and form of the cylindrical object were far beyond anything man-made or naturally occurring that had been observed in space up to that point. Descriptions of the object suggest that it was elongated, sleek, and smooth, with no visible seams or features like wings or engines. It also seemed to lack any identifiable source of propulsion, yet it remained stationary, hovering just above the lunar surface. According to some accounts, Mission Control was equally baffled by the appearance of the UFO, as it did not correspond to any known object in orbit or any scheduled space activity. Despite the mounting questions, no official explanation was provided at the time. The cylindrical object soon disappeared from view, either moving out of range or vanishing entirely. Photographs taken by the astronauts reportedly captured the object's presence, but these images were never made widely available to the public, fueling speculation that something significant had been witnessed but was being kept secret. In the years that followed the sighting, rumors began to circulate that images of the black cylinder-shaped UFO had been deleted or removed from public access. Early reports indicated that photos showing the object were stored in NASA's archives, but attempts to locate these images through official channels have yielded little success. Some individuals claimed to have seen the photographs in the early days of the internet, but by the 2022, such images had largely vanished from online sources. The few sites that did host the images eventually removed them, leading some to believe that a concerted effort was made to erase evidence of the event. This erasure has led to widespread speculation about a possible cover-up. Theories abound, with some suggesting that the black cylinder-shaped UFO was evidence of extraterrestrial activity, either monitoring or interacting with human space exploration. Others propose that the object was part of a secret space program, perhaps a highly classified military project involving advanced technology that the public was not meant to know about. Supporters of the cover-up theory point to the increasing difficulty in finding any trace of the sighting online. While UFO sightings are often discussed and shared freely, the near-total absence of images or official references to the black cylinder UFO above the moon has fueled suspicions. Additionally, former NASA employees and whistleblowers have occasionally hinted at the suppression of sensitive information regarding UFOs, further feeding the idea that the truth about the event has been deliberately hidden. Skeptics of the black cylinder UFO sighting argue that the object could have been a case of misidentification or an optical illusion. The harsh environment of space, combined with the limitations of early photographic equipment, can sometimes lead to visual distortions or the appearance of unexplained objects. Some have suggested that the cylinder-shaped UFO might have been space debris or a natural celestial body, such as a fragment of an asteroid, caught in the camera's lens at an odd angle. Others have proposed that reflections of light or lens flares could have contributed to the sighting. Despite these alternative explanations, many UFO enthusiasts and researchers remain convinced that the black cylinder-shaped object was something more significant.